It's Apollo here with my first real video today, and I'm going to be talking about the Houston Rockets and Philadelphia 76ers in the hypothetical trade that could consist of Ben Simmons and James Harden. This trade scenario has been popping up since the Philadelphia 76ers signing of Daryl Morey. In the background, you can see some COD Cold War beta gameplay. I've had to record it for a while now, but I haven't just used it. I haven't really uploaded it at all, so I'm sorry about that. These type of videos aren't like those main basketball videos where you can see NBA clips and stuff. You'll just see some Xbox gameplay of sorts, like Cold War for this video. But for the first part of this, I'm going to be talking about the Philadelphia 76ers and why they may or may not do this trade. The 76ers, as currently constructed, cannot get much better, to the point as to where they can be legit title contenders. Unless they trade Ben Simmons or his jump shot drastically improves. At first, we've been like sort of okay with Ben Simmons getting a tad bit better, shooting like 25% like consistently from three. Like based on their construction now, they need like 32 to 35% from three for them to be considered legit contenders. Elton Brand has done a terrible job with contracts so far, with the signing of Al Horford and max extension for Tobias Harris. Al Horford, at his age and production, is not worth all that money, and part of his use for the team is his defense and like playmaking. But when you have Joel Embiid as a elite rim protector and Ben Simmons as a playmaker, his role is very diminished, and now they want him to be a spot-up shooter. But he can't be a spot. He's not that good of a shooter to take enough high-volume threes. He's not like a Porzingis or a Cat where they can shoot 9 threes and consistently hit some. He can hit like 2 or 3 for you in a game-by-game basis, but asking more of that is too much for him. With Ben Simmons' lack of a jump shot, he cannot coexist with Joel Embiid. And with Joel Embiid's injury history, they might want to be in a win-now scenario than try to win later parts of his career. Trading. The biggest question mark about James Harden is that if we know his style of play can win championships. He has everything else. He has the MVPs. He has stats. But the biggest question mark is that if he can win. And maybe someone that can pair alongside of him, like a Joel Embiid, can be his best fitting player. But now let's talk about the Houston Rockets side. With the Rockets giving up a lot to get CP3 and Westbrook, they're now stuck. And as currently constructed, I don't think they can win a title. And this year, even though they were supposed to lose to the Lakers, I think we all could expect that. We all expected them to be a little more competitive than lose in 5 games. If you can't win now, they might want to delay the inevitable of them just rebuilding in the future. And there's no much better than getting Ben Simmons. As flawed as Ben Simmons is, he is one of the best young players in the league. And not just even young players, he's one of the best in the league. Probably like top 30 at the very least. He's third team All-NBA this year, and he's been an All-Star since the second year. And maybe Ben Simmons needs to change his scenery. That's what I believe, at least. Because he's been getting all the accolades that he does. He's very complacent of where he is. And maybe a change of scenery can be a reality change he needs to be the best player he can fully be. But now I'm going to talk about why these teams might not want to do these trades. And let's start with the 76ers. As I said before, we don't know if Harden's style of play can win. We know how great he is, but we can all not deny that his style of play has worked in the first year with Chris Paul until he got injured. That might have been what he needed to establish that his style of play can win. But we can't play with hypotheticals. His track record shows that he hasn't been able to get to the finals since his OKC days. And because of Embiid's injury history, and if it continues and he doesn't have a long championship window, they might fail. And if Simmons goes on to have a better career in the Rockets, it'll just reflect badly on them. And with the Tatum for Markelle trade, even though this might be unfair to Markelle, it's just going to look as a bad trade long term, no matter what. And trading Simmons for him to have a long, maybe 12-year prime compared to Embiid's 8 years, would just look bad. And why the Rockets might not want to do the trade? In my opinion, Harden is the fourth greatest shooting guard of all time, and the Rockets might not want to give that up. And to give him up for a guy with a lot of potential, but still hasn't proven that he has the work ethic to get better. As talented as Simmons is, I think we're all getting to the point where we just need results. Like we're just tired of hearing if he gets this, if he gets that, and if he doesn't get that, it'll just also look just as bad as if Simmons goes on to have a good career somewhere else, or if he just goes stays in the Rockets, stays like the same player as All Stars, but gives away James Harden. That would just look like a bad trade in the long term. And personally, I don't think James Harden is the type to request a trade because he sort of just brought Westbrook last year from trading Chris Paul. I know Paul George did that where he signed a year and then said he's going to stay, but then left a year later. But I don't know because Harden and Russ has been close friends ever like for a young age. I don't know if Harden can do that to him. Even if Westbrook says he's okay with it, I think Harden's not that type of guy to do it. I also want to talk about how these teams both got to their low points of where they are today. Let's start with the Rockets and the Chris Paul trade. Initially, a lot of people questioned if Chris Paul and Harden could coexist, and they actually surprisingly did it way better than anyone could have thought. Everyone thought that Golden State team was no one could touch them. The Houston Rockets had the best record that year, and they had the best offense of NBA history alongside of that. And for them to lose Chris Paul after Game 6, after Game 5, and in both of Game 6 and Game 7, the Houston Rockets had leads. I believe, coming into second half, and they lose those games. Not to mention the fact that in Game 7, the Houston Rockets really missed 27 straight threes when the whole world wanted the Warriors to lose. I am disappointed. And then for the next year, they could have redeemed themselves with KD being out, and the Warriors still end up winning that series. After the second year of the pair of James Harden and Chris Paul, the Houston Rockets decided it's best to separate from Chris Paul because everyone believes he's overpaid and has like the worst contract in the NBA. But this year he redeems that himself and establishes that he was never washed. And then OKC trades away Westbrook, gets a lot of assets in return, and now everyone's looking at the Westbrook contract as one of the worst in the NBA. And now they're completely stuck, and what was once title contenders have now fallen to hopefully a second round playoff team. And it wouldn't be surprising if they lost in the first round next year, unless they do some drastic trades. And now on to the 76ers. Rookie year Ben Simmons and second year Joel Embiid. They do well in the first round, and in the second round they struggle. In that playoffs, Joel Embiid was already showing signs of his injury prone, and Ben Simmons was already exposed with his lack of a jump shot. That even in one of those games, he had a 1 point game. But everyone was just happy that the process was just showing growth. That we just ignored these glaring issues that both of them have. And now looking back at it, we should value those issues way sooner than expected. But now people can be prisoners of the moment sometimes, and it was okay to give them a pass, but we all wanted to see what second year Ben Simmons and third year Joel Embiid could do next year and redeem themselves if they could. Last year was the best chance because they went all in the trade deadline to get Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris. And in the playoffs, they were right there to get into the Eastern Conference Finals, but Kawhi hits the game-winning Game 7 closeout shot to end their hopes. And now Jimmy Butler goes to Miami. JJ Redick leaves because the 76ers don't value him as much as they should have. With Jimmy Butler leaving and the undervaluing of JJ Redick, the 76ers are forced to overpay for Tobias Harris because to trade him for a trade deadline, and they have to have something to show for it. So either way, if they let him go, it's going to be a loss at the end of the day. And if they paid him, it was gonna be lost because now this hurts their money instead of getting like a deeper team. And I had no idea what Elton Brand was thinking with getting Al Horford because he's the beat stopper. That's good in principle. Like getting someone just so he can't compete against Joel Embiid for 4 years, 109 million, is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. But now the process might be over if they decide to trade away from Simmons to get Harden. But at the end of the day, I don't think they'll probably give it one more year because they got Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey. Thank you for watching the video and stay tuned for more videos up to come.